Hi, my name's Josh. I needed a documentary topic which meant something to me. I needed something that was a little bit unusual. And as it happens, both my parents were pro wrestlers in the 80s.
My dad wrestled as the Canadian Wolverine, and my mum wrestled as the Midnight Angel.
So I thought, why not investigate the scene in 2006? Why not investigate the wrestling scene in New Zealand, and particularly Wellington, in 2006? So I dug around a bit. I investigated and found that there was a group practicing in Taita.
This is Kiwi Pro Wrestling. This is Jeremiah. It's his first night wrestling tonight.
Okay, first, how'd you get into wrestling?
Well, it actually started right here. There was a show called Eruption, NZWW Eruption, and I came with a friend, obviously. And we were watching, and then after they finished, they started picking it up. And it was actually the Punisher. I approached the Punisher, and he was the one that told me to come into training on Tuesdays, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I just turned up, and then started from there.
This is Aaron Binder learning the basics. The first thing a pro wrestler needs to master is the art of performing a safe fall. Pro wrestlers call this taking a bump. Once a beginner's mastered this skill, he can advance to learning some of the more complicated throws and holds. Here, Aaron's learning the Japanese wrist lock and takedown. Once the wrestlers have been trained, they put what they've learnt into practice. Jeremiah has finished his training and is performing tonight in the Kiwi Pro Wrestling show Ring Rampage in the Taita Community Centre. Before the crowds arrive, before the men in tights, there is a setup. This usually includes lighting, music, PA systems, and of course the ring itself. The ring must be checked and rechecked that it is safe. And before you know it, the t-shirts are out, the crowds are rolling in, and it's showtime. It's the start of the show, and Bobby Cool comes out to warm up the crowd. In wrestling terms, this is called building heat. And as you can see, it's working. The first match features a heel called the Ram. In wrestling slang, a heel is a bad guy, a character who builds heat by being arrogant, insulting the crowd, and especially cheating in the ring. And here comes Creed, the babyface, the good guy. The face builds heat by being more virtuous than his opponent, but also by being friendly towards the audience. During the intermission, I grabbed the chance to ask my dad about his career as a professional wrestler.
So firstly, how did you get into wrestling?
I got into wrestling in about 1989, I think, and I was teaching stunt fighting at an old gym in Kilburnie, in Wellington. And after I'd finished teaching the stunt fighting class, all the pro wrestlers would come in. And I thought it looked like fun, so I asked if I could join, and there was a bit of debate about that because I was much shorter, much smaller than most of them. But eventually I got in, and it was great training for the stunt work that I was doing at the time.
And what was your wrestling name?
I wrestled as the Canadian Wolverine.
Oh, cool. How did you develop your character?
Well, initially, because I was a lot shorter than most wrestlers, the assumption was that I was going to be a babyface, a good guy, so that I'd have the audience's sympathy. But it didn't work that way. What happened was, in my first match, the audience simply didn't take me seriously because I was up against someone who was much bigger. And so we reconceived the Wolverine character as a villain, as a heel. And I had done some acting and so on, and so I developed the character as someone who was so villainous and so rude to the audience and so sneaky and conniving that the audience didn't care how big I was, they just wanted to see someone kill me.
And in the second half, the action really heated up. As the audience was leaving, I had a chance to interview promoter Rip Morgan.
So how do you think the night went in general?
In general, I think the night went really well. Everybody enjoyed the show, and I'm sure they'll be back. And I think the wrestlers themselves are on a high and focused, and the adrenaline's flowing. So I think all around, excellent.
Cool. You feel there was lots of hype about the ring, lots of energy that comes.
Yeah, a lot of energy out there. The ring's good. It's getting used well, and I think the boys are enjoying themselves in the ring. And that's what it's all about. And we hope that the KPW fans are enjoying themselves as well.
So that was Kiwi Pro Wrestling's Ring Rampage, performed at the Taita Community Centre. But what does the future hold for wrestling in New Zealand?
I think that, I don't know, I mean, in the 70s, with the On The Mat TV series, there was a good professional wrestling circuit in New Zealand, people were making reasonable money. In the 80s, likewise, when I was wrestling, in the 80s, very early 90s, it came back. And so New Zealand's big enough to support a pro wrestling circuit, and I hope for the sake of these young guys that they can happen again. And of course, the opportunities are there for some of these guys to go overseas, or for some of the American stars to come in here once there is an established circuit. So I think the country's big enough to support that.
Okay, what I hope it will is of course the same as everyone else here. I just want it to get bigger nationwide.
Knowing that both my mother and father were pro wrestlers, I always wanted to give it a go, so I asked my dad to show me the ropes.